Welcome back to another video from the Vale of Rheidol Railway, and today we're sat in my magnificent carriage for the Brecon Mountain Railway, but this is not the main attraction today. We're going to start with
number 9, resplendent in its BR blue, is out on test as we speak on oil for the first time since the 2010s.
Oil firing number 9. So tell us the history of oil firing on the Vale of Rheidol.
Well, oil firing first came about following the extremely dry summer of 1976 due to the amount of risk with lineside fires and such up along the top section. So all 3 Rheidol tanks were converted to oil between 1977 and 1981, number 9 being the last one to be converted at that time. And they remained as oil burners then right up until 2012, when number 8 became the first one, around Easter I think, to be converted back to coal again, mainly due to the price and the availability of good Welsh steam coal and an improved spark arrestor design in the engines, which made it safe. Nowadays, however, it's changed a little bit, hasn't it, with the economy of it all.
So this is kind of a bit of deja vu then, really, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
The reason we're doing this is because last year we ended up cancelling trains altogether because the diesel was fairly sketchy. And we lost a week's service because of the dry weather. So it's almost like the climate is working against us.
Yeah, it's a repeat of 1976 basically to some extent, where, as you say, we're having to look at other options again now because having exclusively coal burning engines is not really practical with the present climate.
So why is coal a problem?
It's mainly due to the type of coal that we have, because the non-availability of good quality Welsh steam coal has resulted in us having to rely on a much harder type of coal from Europe, chiefly, and that tends to have more lineside fires about it than the old
So it's
type.
just generally what comes out of the chimney.
I'm afraid
and
so.
It's hot ash and bits and pieces. Because if you stand behind a loco, you'll get showered in
absolutely.
stuff.
It's still the same, system that worked perfectly back in 2012. But sadly, because of that change in the type of coil that's available to us, that has been working against us the last few years.
So basically, we've taken number 9. We've taken the coal guts out. And then what's the process been for reconverting it back to oil now?
Well, luckily we still had most of the bits from the oil firing from before. We still have most of the equipment. So we've reused the pan plates and burners from previously. All the plumbing is new and it's redesigned to look better, to be a little bit more sympathetic to the design of the engines. And number 9 has now been converted back to be an oil burner, so that we have that flexibility then during the dry periods of the year, such as right now, when it's not really practical to run a coal burner up the line.
But I think the principal difference is this time it's been designed that we can retrospectively convert it back to coal within a week.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a bit of a hybrid engine in many ways. It's brilliant because it gives us that flexibility then, come winter time when there's no risk of lineside fires. In a week, as you say, we can convert it back to coal again. The advantage of that being that when the decision was made to convert 9 to an oil burner back in October-ish last year, the price of oil was not that much higher than the price of coal, but now that's pretty much doubled. So price of coal is a lot cheaper than oil. So having that flexibility to convert it back to coal again.
But from an economy point of view, it's still better to have an expensive engine out holding a train, because for the customers it's still a steam train, than it is putting a diesel on,
exactly,
which nobody wants really.
Yeah, or nothing at all, like last year. Yeah, absolutely. So we're prepared for any scenario really now, which is ideal. Cool.
Okay, so you're a fireman. So what are you going to do?
Well, it's a lot easier than coal firing. I'm looking forward to it very much. Coal firing, we shovel just over half a ton of coal per day. But with oil firing, you sit there and you turn a couple of taps all the way up, which is...
it's going to be a bit of skill, surely.
Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. So I'm looking forward very much to learning, because I've never fired on oil before. So I'm afraid I'm a bit of a novice when it comes to that. But over the next month or so, hopefully I'll have a go on it.
Fine. So at this point, we're probably feed into chatting to Ted, who's just been out on the test train.
He'll be able to tell more than I can about overfiring, I reckon. So you've just got back. How was it?
Yeah, no, we've just been for a quick test trip out to Capelbanga.
Right.
Everything actually went as it used to do back in the day.
Excellent.
Steamed fine. Pulled the train. Yep. Didn't actually light the fire out. So
brilliant.
job's a good one.
So it'll be rostered on the service train this afternoon, will it?
It's going to be rostered on the service train this afternoon and until it rains.
Brilliant. Well, successful test then.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Back to 2012, eh?
That's it. Back to VR Blue.
So since we're sitting inside it, what's the update on your beautiful excursion car?
Well, it's a beautiful excursion car, and it's called an excursion car because that's generally what they were called in the USA. So we thought it's very apt. So our excursion car is one with no side windows, open air. So it's very, very like the opens we've got at the Vale of Rheidol, and as you know well, that even on the most dreich days, people still prefer to be in these because you get to smell the steam and embrace the best of Merthyr Tydfil's weather.
Absolutely, they're always very popular.
Yeah, so this has been ongoing over the winter, and it's now nearing its final. These seats are absolutely amazing, aren't they, really? The whole thing is amazing. It's sparkly, it's lovely, and it's been designed specifically so we've got a bit more flexible space here to allow for a couple of wheelchairs if needed. But the finish is amazing. The boys are just finishing the last bits and pieces. Got some glazing to go in. We've got sliding doors rather than opening doors, so it's much better utilising of space.
Yeah,
and there's a wider entrance there to be able to get the wheelchairs in. So we are really into the last final tweaks before it goes out on test, and I have a sneaky suspicion this might actually make it to Devil's Bridge before it comes to BMR.
That'd be nice to see, wouldn't it?
Interesting, yeah, so watch this space. But yeah, I'm delighted and very exciting, and we do need it. This will give us a lot of capacity in the peak season.
This will be the first wheelchair accessible carriage, I reckon.
So we've got the caboose,
which
you can get wheelchairs into. It's a little bit of a uphill ramp because it's quite high. So this is a much probably about that much lower than the caboose's loading platform. The ramp won't need to be quite so high, but probably nicer for wheelchairs. Just you get a bit more air. Obviously, on a bad day, the caboose will still be.
You've still got that option, haven't you? Yeah.
I see this sitting in the set probably most of the time. We've still got some testing and some sign-offs and things to do with it, but it's getting there. You can't sign it off until you've got it running.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Well, it's coming along well anyway.
It is fantastic. In the paint shop, always a source of the finishing of articles, which is really nice, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
So that my coach was in here recently. So we now have the tender of Typhoon from the Romney, Hythe and Dymchurch Railway, which is a 15-inch gauge.
15-inch gauge,
gauge there, yeah.
That's it.
But the uniqueness of the Romney is it's basically like standard gauge locos shrunk, isn't it? They are perfect replicas, so they're quite impressive beasts. And Typhoon has been here for quite a while.
It has, yeah.
But it's coming to its progress now, and progress is?
The tender is all ready to be repainted. We have some wheel sets here as well, this will go in dark blue.
Frames as well.
And then the chassis will be in soon as well. The rest of the engine's outside.
This is Typhoon's guts. Hasn't moved on an awful lot recently, but it is now more together. It's got the boiler plate on and get in there. So this is ready for...
The boiler itself is ready for steam testing now.
Okay, so that means we now fire the boiler up to pressure, check it's all working before you start putting it into the frames and everything else.
It's had new steam pipes as well, so it's looking quite a bit more complete than it did last time for sure.
Sure. You've just been to the Romney. I forgot to ask you about that. So you went over Easter.
I did.
Your first visit.
It was absolutely
amazing. I've never been before, so and unique.
After 20 odd years wanting to go down there, finally made it, and it was very, very special. So this means a lot more to me now than it did before Easter, having been there and experienced the place myself.
How long is it?
That's a good question. It takes about an hour to get from one end to the other, from what I remember. It was very, very. It was quite something because of the speed that you travel at, in miniature, of course. It's very exciting, very exhilarating.
And double track.
And double track over half of it,
So it is quite a...
It's a mainline in miniature.
Mainline miniature.
Yeah.
So that'll be really interesting to see it progress, and perhaps we should go down and accompany it on its
Yeah,
journey.
absolutely, yeah.
That's the boss. So moving on down from Typhoon's boiler, Merry Christmas.
Absolutely, yeah. This is Elf from the Leighton Buzzard Railway, and this is our next contract project, isn't it?
Yeah,
Work will be starting on this one soon.
I think there's a few tweaks already been in place, but this is now the focus for, so you'll be seeing this in the next few videos.
Yeah, it's in for its 10 yearly, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So with the Brecon carriage going out, number 9 finishing, work will start on this, and also
The big diesel. Ex-Rustenburg.
Collection X.
Collection X diesel.
Yeah.
And that'll be coming in at some point later this year, hopefully.
Well, no, I think it's imminent.
Good, imminent.
Imminent.
And that will give us, along with number 9 on oil, will give us even more resilience against the fire risk, having a diesel that is capable of pulling a full passenger set up the line rather than
speed.
at speed, line
so,
speed.
But there is progress already on that because the engine is in Gardeners in Canterbury.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's been worked on for quite a while, and also the transmission is away somewhere else being tinkered with. So the guts of it is all progressing.
Yeah.
This is more the other stuff that goes with it.
Yeah,
and we've seen it before. It is a hulking great loco.
To get into it. Yeah.
Hulking great loco.
It's enormous.
So that's another update. Quite a lot going on as ever. There's always plenty to going on. I think next time we do this, there'll be a whole different look of the workshop.
Yeah.
I think we'll have some new stuff in, and this will be gone and hopefully in use by then.
Definitely.
So exciting times. But exciting times for you personally, and for the railway, I suppose, in that you've just had a new book published.
Absolutely, yeah, and it happens to be right here. So
Here's one I prepared earlier.
Grab it. Here we go.
So this is a reprint?
Second edition. Much modified.
Okay, so what's the difference?
So pretty much everything. It's the second edition of Rich Mountains of Lead, which was a book I published in 2018 on all the mines along the Vale of Rheidol Railway and the connection with the railway, the reason that the railway is here. And since 2018, managed to find out a lot more about more context of the mines, more sources have turned up, and I've been able to access a lot more of the mines as well underground. Some places that hadn't been accessed for nearly 200 years, we've managed to gain access to now and photograph everything.
Complete nutter.
So spent many weeks underground compiling this, and it's full of photographs of the mines, both historically and in the present day as well, with all the artifacts that we've found.
It's very different to the first one, though.
Yes.
It's not just a little bit of a smooth over job.
It's well worth checking it out, in my opinion.
If you've got the first version, obviously other opinions are available. You might be a little bit biased, but it is a completely reworked book. It's not the same, just regurgitated. Okay,
absolutely.
Fine.
And
so
much better quality photos now. I've got a much better camera than I did then as well. So
this is available here at the shop or online. How much is it?
It's £45, 278 pages. And as said, it's available on our brand new online shop.
Brand new online shop, yes.
And in the gift shop at Aberystwyth and at Devil's Bridge.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot of work, these things, isn't there?
Plenty, yeah, absolutely. Plenty of crawling about in dark and dingy underground spaces.
Well, I think that's a good way to wrap up today's video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. We always say that. And we run daily at the Vale of Rheidol. We're 5 days a week at Merthyr, about to become 6 days a week in June. So just come and have a trip behind maybe an oil-fired.
Well, quite. An oil-fired...
Well, we're still praying for rain.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some on the weekend.
Catch up soon.
See you soon.